What an incredible 24 hours it has been on the transfer front for Ipswich Town ahead of what is already going to be a historic weekend. 3 potential incomings now looking very, very close. And finally, it looks like the Szmodics saga is going to come to an end. And it's the end we've all been waiting for. Hello and welcome back to the Harvey Bell YouTube channel. I am Harvey Bell. Please do subscribe down below if you haven't already. We're going to kick straight off and look at the transfer that I am most excited about, and that is Szmodics. It is now being reported by Sky Sports News that Szmodics is going to be an Ipswich player because Ipswich have agreed a deal with Blackburn Rovers. This is so exciting. It's been going on for weeks and weeks now. The attacker, who was the top goal scorer in the Championship last season, has been linked with Town for a number of weeks. It looked like it was pretty much done already, but then Blackburn asked for some more money. The deal over the last week had looked like it was potentially falling apart a little bit, as Szmodics did play for Blackburn as a substitute in their Championship opener against Derby. He then started in the Carabao Cup the other day, so it looked like he might be staying at Blackburn, but not now. The deal has been agreed, and Szmodics now just has to agree personal terms with Ipswich. But if I'm being completely honest, I do suspect that that has already happened. He could already be an Ipswich Town player by the time that this video is out, but regardless, I'm very, very excited to be doing this video because we've spoken about it a lot on this channel. He's a proven goal scorer. He's a player that Town have played against a lot over the last few seasons, whether it be for Bristol City, Peterborough, Colchester, Blackburn. He scored goals against Town. He's one of these players that knows where the back of the net is. A lot of people saying he's only had one good season, but I disagree. He had a good season at the Championship level last year, but I think this is a player that has been performing very well for a number of seasons now across League One and the Championship. This will be a brilliant signing, and it just adds terrific competition up front when you look at the likes of Connor Chaplin, Liam Delap, Amari Hutchinson and Wes Burns. It's just looking very stacked now. A couple of days ago we were talking about how light Ipswich Town were looking on the transfer front, but now it looks like we're starting to get the players in that we wanted to. Kalvin Phillips, of course, the next player that looks like he's going to be signing. I'm not going to talk about this one too much because you can jump back and look at a video from yesterday where I caught up with Leeds United fan Ollie Ward about Kalvin Phillips, because of course Kalvin Phillips made a big impression at Ellen Road, so go back and watch that if you haven't already. But Kalvin Phillips, of course, in on loan from Manchester City, again could be confirmed by the time this video is out, but not at the time of recording. A massive statement of intent. 28-year-old Manchester City centre midfielder with 30 caps for England. This is really exciting. We know he's a combative midfielder. We know that he'll slot in next to Sam Morsy, most likely. Good passer of the ball, always going to get stuck into a challenge, and somebody that has done it at the highest level. He's played in a Euros final. He was England's player of the tournament at Euro 2020. This is very, very exciting indeed. And still, potentially joining with him, I did wonder if this was going to happen or whether it was going to not happen because of the Kalvin Phillips deal, but the report is that apparently Jens Castuje is still set to join on loan from Napoli, which means that our midfield is looking very stacked. He's a Swedish international, made 23 full appearances for Sweden, 6'3", by all accounts, very similar to Morsy in the sense that he always gets stuck in, supposed to be an absolute engine, and I think that this is going to be exciting. There'll be question marks over the fact that Kalvin Phillips and Castuje are both loans, but ultimately we asked for some midfielders. We asked for players with experience at the top flight, and this is what we've got. I think this is a brilliant addition to get Phillips in. He's got the Premier League experience. He's got the international experience. Castuje, a little bit younger, coming in from abroad, will bring a different style of play. And of course, Szmodics in the attack as well. We know what he brings. He's going to bring goals. He's going to bring attacking prowess. And this is a really, really exciting set of transfers. It didn't look like this was all going to happen a week ago, but it's like a London bus. You wait all day for one, and then 3 come along at once. Absolutely brilliant. So that's it on the transfer front. I'm very excited if you can't tell. I think these are absolutely fantastic additions for Town. We are, of course, now only one day away from Premier League kickoff against Liverpool at Portman Road. It's going to be a sold-out crowd, a massive occasion for their county. For people of my generation, our first chance to see Ipswich Town in the top flight of English football. It's brilliant. Of course, for the generation before us, it's their chance to again get to see it, but get to share it with us. It's going to be a very, very special day, and it looks like we're going to be having 3 new signings through the door to get us ready and in the spirit. That is it from me, but I am going to leave you with my final match day 1 predictions for the Premier League, which I recorded with CF Woody earlier in the week. He's been on the channel throughout. Massive thank you for him for coming on this channel. He's been a really good guest to have on. But yeah, very exciting time for Town. I'll leave you with these predictions. And because I won't have any more videos out before, enjoy Saturday. It's going to be brilliant. Come on, you Blues. Right, George, let's start off then with Manchester United versus Fulham.
Cool. I mean, it's hard for me to not lean towards Fulham initially, just off the team you've mentioned. Yeah, you've got 2 sort of new look sides, haven't you? Obviously, they've trusted Ten Hag United. They've brought in some good signings. Unfortunately, one of them got injured immediately. I know, what a shame. It's at Old Trafford, isn't it? First game of the season.
Yes, it is. It's at Old Trafford, yeah.
I think it's from an actual... My head is saying you can't not back United just based upon the atmosphere of the stadium. They're going to have their own expectations of this season, particularly after just missing out on the Charity Shield. I know people say it's a pre-season. Whatever. They won't be happy. They'll want to get back onto winning ways. I would back Man United to beat Fulham, but then Fulham have made some good signings. They've looked active in the window. Obviously, Emil Smith-Rowe going across. I think it's genuinely a really underrated sign. I think that could really sort of spring to life. You've also got the potential of Scott McTominay actually being in a Fulham shirt, potentially, if rumours are to be believed. So, could go either way. Fulham, again, play lovely attacking football. I think I'll go 2-1 United, though.
Yeah, no, I'm in a lot of agreement with you. It is going to be 2 sides who have done a lot of business this year. In terms of Manchester United, a lot more outgoings than incomings. It's got to be said. I did expect it to be a bigger summer of change for United, if I'm being honest. I expected a few more faces to come into the door. As it stands, I don't think their fans will be necessarily too happy with their incomings. Fulham, however, bringing Ryan Sessegnon back to the club, bit of a risk, yes, but if they can get him back fit, incredible player. Emil Smith-Rowe is somebody that's done it for Arsenal. He's been very impressive. I think that's a good signing for them. They were solid last year. This is by no means an easy game for Manchester United. I still don't think United have improved massively, and Fulham are a difficult opponent. So I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to call a draw here on the opening night of the Premier League, and I'm going to go 1-1. So we'll move on now to a game that we've spoken about a lot across the last week. Go back and check out all the other videos that we've made on this. We'll keep this nice and brief because we've already done our score predictions. But Town versus Liverpool, I've gone 2-1 Town. I've got to back Ipswich.
Don't blame you at all, mate. Yeah, gone 3-2 Liverpool, as we've sort of touched on in the last few videos. 2 sides that are just going to absolutely go at it. Like there's so much energy in both of those teams, so much attack and potential. And again, Liverpool are a bit leaky at the back at times. You got to think the quality, they should potentially get a couple of chances in. So yeah, I think it'll be, if nothing else, a very exciting game.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And so will Arsenal versus Wolves. And this is a very interesting fixture because Arsenal have got to hit the ground running. Obviously, they just missed out on the league last season. They've signed a new centre-back this year, David Raya, also coming in from Brentford. So a couple of additions. Again, not loads and loads of incomings. But if they've learned the last couple of seasons that if they are going to win the league, they just have to be ultra consistent. There is absolutely no room for error on the first day. That said, Gary O'Neill, steady ship. He's got Wolves going pretty solid, hasn't he? They're not an easy side to take on. They'll have their own aspirations this season. I do expect them to be towards the bottom end of the table. I don't think they're any risk of going down. But away at Arsenal, that's very difficult, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, I think Arsenal are at the point now as that squad where they need a title. Like they need the title. They need to perform and get a trophy just based on the amount of funds they've pumped into this project, right? Again, I think genuinely they were probably the best team in the league last season. I know they didn't win it, but they played the best football in my opinion. I think Wolves going to the Emirates, I mean, losing arguably the best player in Pedro Neto today, 60 million to Chelsea. I think it'll be a hard ass to go there and get a result. I'd go for an Arsenal win personally. But again, Wolves have got, there's talent. There's a talented squad, 100%. There's a reason why they've been in the Premier League as long as they have been. But I think this might be a hard year for Wolves. I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to back an Arsenal win there, and I'm going to say 2-0. I think it will be with relative ease, we'll say.
Yeah.
Then we'll move on to. Sorry, go on.
No, I'll go for 3. I'll go for 3-0 on the Arsenal Wolves, I reckon.
And then we move on to Everton Brighton. Now, I really like the look of this fixture because I think these two sides are the opposite of each other. Now, the last couple of seasons, it's fair to say Everton have been disappointing. Sean Dyche has come in. He's done a good job. He's got them playing decent football. He's got them getting results. But their league positioning hasn't been great. Brighton, on the other hand, we know their transfer model. We know they like to develop players, and it's been effective in terms of results. And they've ended up climbing the table. Of course, not last season, but the season before. A little European tour for them as well. So that was very exciting. But I now think we could see them start to swap places because Everton, obviously, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to mention them in front of you being a Liverpool fan.
No, go ahead, mate.
But last season at Goodison Park, of course, and there's big expectations on that. And I think now that Sean Dyche has got them playing better, I think there'll be big expectations for them to push on. That said, Brighton, having had a good couple of seasons, I now think that they're dropping off. I don't think they finished last season particularly well. I don't think their recruitment has been that good this year. And ultimately, of all the new managers coming into the division, I don't think theirs is as good as your Arne Slots, your Kieran McKenna's, your Enzo Maresca's. I think it's going to be a difficult one for them, and I can see them dropping off. And I am going to back Everton here, and I'm going to back Everton for a 1-0 win.
Yeah, I think you've summarised that absolutely perfectly. Again, looking at both sides, when it comes to Everton, again, they didn't exactly finish in the nicest way possible in terms of a league position, but take into account they lost like 8 points, didn't they, due to all the FFP and stuff. So that there is a squad there. We all know how good Sean Dyche is and the type of football he plays. We know what it's going to be, but it is just so good. It just works. There's no other way of describing it. They have brought in a couple of players. Brought in I can't remember the name of the bloke, but it was a winger that used to play at Frankfurt and sort of went to Napoli. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but they've made attacking signings. If they can keep hold of Branthwaite at the back, I think that would be phenomenal. Because there is a very, very good young centre half coming through there, and yeah, at home, I can't not see Everton at the very. Everton are always incredibly solid. There's no two ways about it. Have Brighton got the talent there now to continue to play that way? Obviously, as you've said, De Zerbi's gone. You've had Pascal Gross, who one of the biggest influences in that Brighton team, has also now made a move away. In terms of their transfers, maybe it's just me. I haven't heard of them bringing too many in, from what I can think, or none of any note for me. I might be wildly wrong on that, but I agree with you. I think that they did have a bit of a European hangover last year, didn't they? It all sort of fell by the wayside a little bit. There's still obviously that contingent there, that ability to play, and when Brighton are on it, they play wonderful football. There's no two ways about it. But I do think Everton will be too strong for them, and yeah, I'll go for a 1-0 Everton as well. I think that's a good summary. You've convinced me.
Right, well, George, I'm wary of keeping too much of your time and also too much of the viewers as well. So the next few, let's run through these nice and quickly with some quick score predictions. Newcastle, Southampton. Now, Southampton obviously coming up from the Championship. Newcastle have got to have a good season now. I think they're going to be one of those teams at the top end of the table for seasons to come. I can't see anything other than a home win here. 2-0 Newcastle.
Yeah, I think you've summarised that brilliantly, mate. Again, Newcastle with a fully fit squad. I think they're a different animal than what we saw last season. Again, Southampton, newly promoted, do play nice football with Russell Martin, but I think Newcastle have too much for them. I'll go 3-1. 3-1 Newcastle.
Nottingham Forest versus Bournemouth. Now, Bournemouth, good season last year. I felt that was very impressive. How big of a miss is Dominic Solanke going to be? Obviously, their talisman. Is that going to play a big effect? Nottingham Forest, again, it's been another chaotic summer. Lots of players coming in. I believe it's 7 in, 10 going out. It's just all a bit over the place, I think. And it's for that reason that I'm going to back Bournemouth to get a very tight away win here. It's going to be 1-0. But I think Bournemouth will need to spend that money wisely to replace Solanke, because he was firing and he did become a key figure in their attack. So there's going to be a big miss, but I think they'll still have enough to beat Nottingham Forest.
Excellent point. Yeah, when it comes to Solanke, obviously he has only very recently gone. When it comes to next weekend, they could have a new centre forward. We don't honestly know at this point, right? I feel like just with Forest at home, I never feel like they really perform very well at all. They just throw so much money at it, and it just kind of works eventually.
Yeah.
I think both teams, they're going to be relegation rivals, really, aren't they? The way you look at it, I'm going to go for a 1-1. Honestly, I can't see either. There's nothing in either team that isn't screaming at me they're going to dominate. So play safe. We'll go for a draw.
Then we move on to West Ham Villa, and I think this is a brilliant fixture, because I think Villa, obviously going into a season where they're going to be having Champions League football, they obviously did very well last season to get themselves there. Their recruitment this summer has been brilliant. I like what they've done. They've really improved their squad depth. West Ham as well, Crescencio Somerville coming in from Leeds. Fulkrug up top, I think, is a terrific signing. These are two clubs that are very much on the up. And it's for that reason I'm going to back them to draw here, because I think they both have so much quality, but they're going to cancel each other out. I'm going to actually go for a very boring 0-0.
Lovely stuff. Again, the battle of the Claret and Blues, right? Two teams that always have bounced around Europe at this stage. You've got to think Villa are going to have an eye on the Champions League fixtures as well. Is their squad there? They've sold arguably their best player in Douglas Luiz, which could potentially be a very big miss for them. And again, completely change how they play. West Ham, as you've said, Fulkrug, he's honestly one of my favourite players to watch. I absolutely adore watching him up front. I'll go for 1-1. Go a little bit more in exciting than what you've said, but I think it'll be definitely a tight match. We'll say that.
Excellent. And then we'll move on to Brentford versus Palace. Now, this one, Brentford, obviously a team that I think are stagnating a little bit. It's not been an overly impressive window. They have held on to Ivan Toney as far, but obviously they didn't have him most of last season and they managed okay. So would he be necessarily a massive loss at this stage? Probably not. But ultimately, I don't think they're going to have enough to even sort of tie the laces of Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace were phenomenal towards the back end of last season. Of course, they've lost Elise, but Eze was firing, Mateta was firing. Oliver Glasner done a terrific job. He's now had a full pre-season to work with those players, and I can't see anything other than a Crystal Palace win here, and I think they'll win 3-0.
No, I again completely agree with you. I think if Brentford can get Tony firing and back to his best, I think they'll be absolutely fine in terms of staying in the league. But the football that Palace were playing, especially towards that back end of the season, was just phenomenal, right? If they can continue that on, again, Elise is without question a massive miss. I can't think off the top of my head if they've brought in anyone to replace him. Again, you're going to struggle to replace a player of that caliber.
They bought Ismaila Sarri.
Ismaila Sarr, is it? Okay. Oh, okay. So you've got like for like in terms of the pace and the attacking ability of that player. But yeah, I can't see Brentford having enough to beat Palace. I'll go 2-0. 2-0 Crystal Palace, I think.
And then I would say the centrepiece, perhaps, of the opening round of fixtures is Chelsea versus Manchester City. Now, of course, this is going to be a fantastic occasion. It's two of the so-called Big Six. I don't like the term, but that is what it's referred to. Chelsea versus Manchester City. It's going to be the Sunday 4:30 on Sky Sports. Manchester City, reigning champions. Chelsea's first game under Enzo Maresca. It's still going to be City, though, isn't it? City are going to win this. I mean, Chelsea haven't looked very good in pre-season.
No, they've looked shaky as anything at the back, despite signing about like 55 players this summer or whatever. It's definitely. We all know how good Man City are. Believe me, I've watched them pip Liverpool to titles for years. It sucks. They don't ever seem to stop. Potentially Pep's last season. Is that going to play an element? Does he want to go out with a bang, win it all? they're just so strong. They're such a strong squad. They're such a good team. Again, they are the best team in the league without question. Chelsea, again, they done them last season, didn't they? They did. They definitely took points off of them. They have got the players there. Again, ice cold Palmer. We all love him. If he can potentially pull something out the bag, I still just can't see it happening. I think Man City do take this one. I'll go 2-1 Man City.
Yeah, I'll go actually same scoreline, 2-1. Can't see anything other than a Manchester City win here. Now, rounding off match day 1 of the Premier League, we have Leicester City hosting Tottenham Hotspur. Now, this potential of a banana skin for Tottenham Hotspur, I think. I just have a feeling Monday night, you've had to watch everybody else play. You're away at a newly promoted club. Champions of the Championship, no less. This is not an easy fixture for Ange Postecoglou's side.
No, 100% not. Again, they could potentially be starting that game with Dominic Solanke up front, who is a definite improvement on the likes of Richarlison. It could push Son back up to left wing. They've got that lovely attacking base team, but we all know who Spurs are. They're Spurs. They're leaky. They crumble. It is just the way it is. I hate to say it. I think when you look at the likes of Leicester, if I'm not mistaken, there's still members of that squad that have been there and done it before in that league. So there is experience there as well. As you've said, newly promoted, under the lights. I won't fully bash on Spurs, but I'll go 1-1. I reckon a draw. I reckon both. Honestly, I'll be happy with that, both sides.
My bold prediction, and this is my bold prediction of the video. I'll probably get pelters in the comments, but I'm going to go for a Leicester win here. I'm going to go 2-1. And I think they're going to win it in the last minute. I can see a big arrival from Leicester, and I can just see Spurs. And this isn't going to become a regular thing. I'm not going to bash on Spurs at all. But I just think anyone who was playing away at Leicester on a Monday night, having had to watch everybody else play, I think it's always going to be difficult. And I can just see Leicester rising to the occasion here and causing, again, I don't like to call it an upset, but a little bit of an upset.
100%.
So there we go. We have now run through every single Premier League game in match day 1 of the new season. I hope you've all enjoyed watching this. Let us know down in the comments what you make of our predictions. Leave your predictions down in the comments as well. I'd like to say a massive thank you to George this week. Go and check out his channel. You can see down on this little badge here, CF Woody. It's been an absolute pleasure to have him on, helping me look ahead to our first Premier League game in 22 years. Whatever happens this Saturday, enjoy it. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be a fantastic occasion. We'll chat more on Monday with reaction. Can't wait for it. Come on, you Blues. Thanks so much, George.
Thanks ever so much for having me, mate. Greatly appreciate it.
Cheers. See you in the next one.